made aware that during last evening's school committee meeting, multiple people in virtual attendance via Zoom used the question and answer function to send vulgar and hateful racist messages to the school committee members. We deplore and denounce these acts of hatred. As a board, we are just instructing Town Manager John Mangiarotti to work with the Acton Police Department to initiate a hate crime investigation. We understand that the town manager has already been in contact with the Boxborough town administrator and police in that community as well. We urge police to conduct an aggressive and thorough investigation. While it is our understanding that members of the public did not see the hateful messages due to the correctly configured security and privacy settings, nonetheless, bad actors attended this virtual meeting and used the meeting to send these terrible messages to the school committee members. We are committed to a transparent process, and we will provide updates to the public on that investigation when available and appropriate. I will not be taking public comments during this meeting. Citizens, residents may reserve your comments. We will take them during the public participation section of Monday night's meeting. So to begin with, Jim, would you like to speak first to the statement?
Sure. It's hard to even talk about this awful action coherently, but I will say I wasn't surprised because I'd heard about the kind of comments that came out, especially during the mascot discussion with the school committee. So I knew there were a lot of people making racially charged and racist statements, particularly directed at the two Black board members, the school committee members. And I'm very grateful that you've constructed this statement. I think it's a fine statement, and I'm really glad that the police are working on this quickly and thoroughly. I think that's all I have to say.
David?
Yes. As select board liaison to the school committee, I attended the meeting last night, and I want to say that I'm really sorry that the members of our school committee, especially the Black members, had to experience those words and sentiments. I'm also very sorry for all of us in the community, especially the children in our schools that have to live with people who would make such remarks. I really don't want to hear that there's no racism in Acton. Those that deny that racism exists just allow it to persist. While I believe that those who express overt racism in our town are in a distinct minority, we must recognize that the vast majority of us have implicit bias. We don't yet know who the individuals were who made these remarks. They make themselves anonymous because the actions they take are so shameful, they cannot bear for their families to know. We should be very clear, however, that these individuals have been egged on by the anti-school committee sentiment of those, mostly white men, trying to reinstate the mascot. These individuals, who cannot deal with the fact that half of our town does not identify as white Europeans, who must redefine words to say that colonial doesn't mean colonialism, who trump up accusations of fraud when none exists, who think that the school committee should be required to count their emails as votes rather than do the right thing, are a perfect example of white fragility. I'm proud of Acton's heritage, and I'm always interested to learn more about its history. Many members of our community who came from other places participate in Patriots' Day and other activities with pride. What we're not proud of is incidents like these.
Thank you, David. Nadine?
Yeah, I think this is a good and well-balanced statement. I think the important thing is the statement does not jump to conclusions, as apparently two members of our Board of Selectmen have chosen to do so. I'm not convinced at all that this is related directly to the mascot thing. I'm not convinced it's any particular group of people that did this. As evidence of that, most of you probably remember that our board was subjected to Zoom bombing about a year ago with racist and homophobic statements, and there was no discussion at that point about a mascot or anything else. So I think it's important that we all withhold judgment at this point. Don't blame any particular group of people. And I'm saying that not only to the members of our board, but to the general public. On any side of the issue, is let the investigation work itself out, see if they can find people that did this, which is a horrible act. I think that we should let this play out and determine the true facts before we start making accusations against any particular group. I find that to be deeply disturbing that a group is going to be demonized by this on any side. So I think the statement says what it needs to say, and we should put it out.
Thank you, Dean. Yes, I wholeheartly endorse the statement, and I wanted to thank two individuals for coming forward last night. Charlie Cadillac and Andrew Ruggiero, who's a 2003 graduate of the high school, for coming to the support of Evelyn Obaya last night. They were very classy, they were very supportive, and they were also two individuals who spoke, two of the five individuals who spoke at the beginning of the meeting, asking the school committee to reverse its decision to retire the mascot and start the process anew, consistent with their own policy. So if there aren't any further comments, I would like to have a motion to approve the draft statement on behalf of the board, and that it be distributed as widely as we can.
John,
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Joan.
I'm sorry. I drove up from Acton. I couldn't get into my house because of the snow. So could you just do a brief what happened?
Yes. Okay. At about the 90-minute point of last night's school committee meeting, there appeared in the question and answer box of school committee members only, not the general public, deplorable, hateful, and racist comments.
What triggered it? Anything?
I would like to, stay away from that. There's different sides to that issue. Whether it was just, a Zoom bomber like we experienced when we began our Zoom communications back in March, where all of a sudden somebody screamed in the N-word, and that was quickly shut down. There's a lot of issues around Zoom with Zoom bombers, and it just doesn't go to school committee meetings and selectmen's meetings. It goes to classes that are taught online, business meetings, and they're largely an attempt to just incite the people who are at the meeting and wreck the meeting and wreak havoc.
Okay.
I could send you, if you'd like, they are online, what was said.
Okay.
You would be just floored by, what was stated.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
John, Kara Wilson Cook is asking to speak.
Okay, Kara, please.
1 second. Go ahead, please, Kara.
Hi, Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here today not because I was invited by the Board of Selectmen. I wasn't. Not because I was informed of this meeting by the Board of Selectmen ahead of time. I wasn't. And not because I am the school committee liaison to the Board of Selectmen. The school committee had not been informed either. I'm here because I heard through the grapevine that the Board of Selectmen, the local governing body of the town in which I am a resident, was holding an emergency meeting about something that happened to me. It should be obvious that this is not the right way to begin a healthy discussion about the events this meeting is focusing on. Given the Board of Selectmen's recent discussion about how to address racism in our community, I would hope that the perspectives of a cross-section of our community would be represented here, let alone the perspectives of those people directly involved because of vitriolic racism being directed at them while they carry out their duties as elected representatives of our community on the school committee. I am therefore concerned about the tenor of this meeting and would encourage the Board of Selectmen to consult with the school committee before drawing any conclusions about what happened at the school committee meeting in a chat box that only the school committee members and the superintendent could see. I would like to thank Jim Snyder-Grant, the only member of this board who reached out in support this morning prior to this meeting being scheduled. Let's be clear. What happened to me and to my fellow committee member Evelyn last night was an instance of racism in our community. We might not know who perpetuated it, and we might not know what they were trying to achieve, but it was definitely racism. Racism has no place in our town. I sincerely hope the board agrees. As I said at the end of the meeting last night, it is an honor to serve the people of Acton as the first African-American woman to be elected to office in our town's history. I am deeply committed to the work of ensuring that our children receive the best possible education for our school district. All of Acton's children deserve representation. I will continue to provide that representation regardless of what attacks are pointed in my direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson-Cook. So we do have a motion. I believe it's been seconded.
I'll second it if it wasn't.
Okay. Okay. So is there any further comment from board members? Okay, hearing no further comment, David, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Snyder-Grant? I think you're muted, Jim.
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Aye.
Mr. Charter?
Aye.
Mr. Benson?
Aye.
And I also say aye, so it's unanimous.
Okay, thank you very much. So John, if you would take action under the statement and distribute it throughout the community as widely as possible. Being no further agenda items, may we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll so move.
Okay, and who seconds? We have a second. Okay. David, if you call the roll, please, for adjournment.
Okay, Mr. Snyder-Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Aye.
Mr. Charter?
Aye.
Mr. Benson?
Aye.
And I also say aye.
Okay. I will see you Monday night, everyone at Monday night. We have an executive session at 6 o'clock. Have a good weekend. Thank you all
Good
very
night.
much.